You are deserving of happiness. You are deserving of healing. You are deserving of joy.
Whatever your dream is, whatever your passion is, work towards it and put God first. God has to be in your life.
Wanted to use the skills and the training, hopefully to advocate on behalf of the community. I'm able to say that on Chop It Up. Be prepared to keep it real.
Hello and welcome to the Chop It Up podcast, the show that's unfiltered and unapologetic. Each episode will bring you closer to finding your purpose, so be sure to listen all the way through. Now, here's your host, Carmisha Superville.
Welcome back to the Chop It Up podcast. I love you guys so much. Welcome back. It's been a while. I know it's been a while. It's your host, Carmisha Superville. As you guys know, the Chop It Up podcast, we discuss life, leadership, and legacy. Guys, I am so excited to share with you all. We are on our 50th. Yes, 50. Yeah. I think we need to cue the confetti. Guys, we are celebrating our 50th episode. Wow. This has been a whirlwind. First off, I just want to thank all our listeners. So many of you have really cheered this podcast on. Thank you so much for your support. Guys, I am so honored to celebrate this 50th episode with an amazing organization. Yes, you heard it right, an organization. And guys, we made sure that we went international for this one. So without further ado, very honored to discuss and celebrate again the 50th episode with the London Chamber. Yes, today we have the London Chamber of Commerce with us. We have two amazing representatives from the London Chamber that's going to discuss global business. As we think about expanding our horizon, right? Expanding our brands and our business, why not think globally? So that's the reason why we're having this conversation. So welcome back and let's get right into it. Today, we'll be speaking with Elizabeth and Esenam of the London Chamber of Commerce. Elizabeth, welcome to the Chop It Up podcast. Please tell the people a little bit about you and the work that you're doing.
Thank you so very much. Hi, everybody. And Carmisha, before I begin, I gotta say, I'm gonna admit it though openly, your energy is contagious. I love your energy. Right, so my name is Elizabeth Skewes, and I am the Trade Services and Business Development Manager for the International Trade Department for the London Chamber of Commerce. It's a long title, I know. But to be fair, what I do is I basically facilitate. I'm the center point of businesses looking to grow overseas. And what I do is I facilitate whatever service they might be looking for. I'm their connection in the chamber.
Wonderful. Amazing. Esenam, welcome to the Chop It Up podcast. Please tell the folks a little bit about the work that you're doing at the chamber.
Hi, everyone. My name is Esenam. I'm Parliamentary and Regulatory Affairs Manager at the Chamber. So my work is quite varied. So helping out with the Chamber's public affairs work. So that's all the way the spectrum of, helping to speak for London's businesses, essentially, putting them, making their voices heard, the corridors of power, speaking for them and all of that. I'm also the Chamber provides a secretariat for an all-party parliamentary group for London as a global city. So I help with that and also lead on the Chamber's equality, diversity, and inclusion initiative. So, yeah, great to be here on this podcast. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. So, ladies, let's jump right into it. But before we jump into it, I just would like to echo thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing for small businesses. Thank you for, just creating a safe space for those businesses. I had the privilege of meeting you all in person, and you all was so welcoming. I said, you know what? I would love to celebrate a 50th episode with you all, especially the fact that, you guys came out and just discussed with such passion about your different roles, and you open it. You were so open to myself and my business partners. So thank you for that. So, let's talk about the London Chamber of Commerce. Certainly, a lot of folks don't even know, honestly, what the Chamber of Commerce is. So, like, in a nutshell, what is a Chamber of Commerce and why is it important for small businesses or businesses to be thinking globally? So anyone can take that.
Esenam, you want to start, or should I jump in just quickly?
You go quickly. You've got the best example.
Yeah, well, let's just start by saying that Chambers of Commerce, we are business associations and we are business hubs. And I'm a very practical person. So, Carmisha, you might remember the one example that I gave you because you asked me this when you came over to London. And I'm a very practical person. And I always use this example when someone asks me, so what is it that chambers do? Chambers are the business equivalent of a gym. So you know that when you go into a gym and you pay your membership, because we are a membership company also, you will always get the question as in what you want to do when you join the gym. You want to build up muscle, you want to get slim, you want to put on some weight. We even have people coming to the gym, you know, because I'm a gym member. We always have people that go to the gym simply to make friends, you know, to get distracted, to go out of the house. And Chambers of Commerce are very similar to that, but we are that for business. So depending on what the business is looking to achieve, we mold ourselves into those needs. So if you tell me, you know, I'm a small company or medium company and I'm looking to start exporting my goods overseas, my work as a chamber, as a business hub, is to help you, pushing you forward, helping you, showing you the way to achieve that. If you tell me, you know what, I'm looking for customers, I want to do a little bit of networking, I can facilitate that for you. So we basically build up our services based on what our members are looking for. That's on the business services side. However, what Esenam does is also very relevant because, as she said, she mediates she looks after the interest from our members and the London or the UK businesses with government entities, foreign authorities, local authorities, and so on. Over to you,
Yes.
Esenam. That's the part that you cover and is really interesting as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So Elizabeth has covered quite a broad range of what we do. From a policy and public affairs perspective, which is a team that I sit in, we basically try to understand what the problems that business face and then be able to represent that to policymakers, to be able to influence that sort of decision making and shape the policies, make sure that we're creating a landscape that is feasible for businesses to be able to thrive in. So we're constantly in communication with our members. We do have a number of events, from networking events and all of that. We also have policy events where we speak with these businesses, some of them on particular themes. We understand what they talk, what's affecting them all the way on from. There are particular issues that seem to cut across, so from skills, transport, infrastructure. There are a number of issues that keep coming up. So trying to understand that where those bottlenecks are, and then on occasions being able to bring them into into contact with policymakers and politician decision makers. So we have policy events, for example, where you're able to get relevant people from Parliament, MPs, and all of that to come and listen, and all of. But a big part of what we also do is actually speaking on behalf of these people, whether it's through our reports, whether it's through our research. We run campaigns and all of that, and many of them are really quite successful in being able to shift the dial. Sometimes the results are quite rapid. Sometimes it takes a while, but then we're always making changes for businesses in a way that makes them helps them to be successful. But apart from the policy work, of course, we've got our colleagues in the events team, for example, who puts up events like networking and the works to help people connect to each other, meet people where you can do business, come to an event and then find someone else who could be your next business partner or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Get a bit more information, all of that. So, and it's quite varied.
Yeah,
I
our
love
mission
that.
is connect, challenge, and support. And that is basically what we do with businesses. So we are basically the voice of our members and the larger, business community in the UK. And what we do is we challenge decision makers as to, for example, now, and I know that this is something that we are really moving forward, as in this is not something that we're not stuck in there anymore. But when the Brexit situation happened, it exploded, and a lot of businesses were really worried about. And the chamber, the London Chamber, alongside the rest of the chamber network, we were really involved into listening to the businesses, to the extended network, hearing their concerns, what they wanted to do, what were their worries, and we were voicing them to the decision makers to make sure that what they needed was actually looked after. And yeah, it seems like it's really working. And then you also asked the question as to why is it important for small businesses to become members or to participate of chambers of commerce. I gotta say though, we do work together and a lot with SMEs, small companies, micro companies, entrepreneurs, startups. And the main reason that I see why it's beneficial for these companies to liaise with chambers of commerce, and I'm not saying necessarily the London Chamber, though anybody is welcome, our doors are always open. It is because there are always limited resources as of that the companies have, and there's also limited knowledge, limited reach as of what they want to do, and they can use chambers of commerce as trampolines. So if they want to meet up with potential suppliers, providers, partners, even it is a platform for them to use and reach where they want to go. In my particular case, for example, because I work on the international trade side, I do support them a lot on the learning side, on the upskill side, as in, international trade, going global, it can be scary, as in there's so many countries in the world, and every single one of them, even the European Union, has their own rules, individual rules and regulations and processes and all of that. So it can be scary. So part of my job is literally to teach these companies, individuals, how to navigate smoothly all of these markets, and just to make sure that they don't feel isolated or completely lost, is literally walking them by the hand to where they want to go. However, again, this is on the international trade side. We do exactly the same thing in other areas. We even have human resources support, finance support, legal support. Is a huge spectrum of areas that we cover. And we're very proud of that. We are as you can see, we're very passionate about it.
Of course, no, yeah, I can see, and I can also actively see that the work that you're doing. Esenam, tell me, I know you spoke about, working with the elected officials to really change policy. And that's really big here, especially in the New York market. So I am in New York City, and, we have something, I don't know if it's similar to what you guys have in London, but we have something called the Minority Woman in Business, or the MWBE program. Now, those are certifications for people of color to just be more competitive and to get access to opportunities, whether government and or corporate. I wanted to know, what do you guys have for Black professionals or Black entrepreneurs specifically, just to create a level playing field? Do you have like a similar program in London or with the chamber, or is that a conversation you're having currently about policies with elected officials?
Yeah. No, thanks for that. We do actually. We have got the Asian Business Association, which has been in existence for over 20 years or so. And then we've got the Black Business Association, which was set up in response to following the George Floyd the protests that followed George Floyd's death and all of that. What these groups exist for, I mean, it's a celebration of, people from ethnic minority backgrounds in business. They do very fabulous things, and sometimes that is not always visible. So that it provides for a forum for these professionals and business owners to be able to come together for that. But it's also an opportunity and a platform for these businesses to be able to raise concerns that perhaps aren't always easily picked up. For example, again, being able to bring those concerns towards decision makers and all of that. So with our work, for example, I authored our report in consultation with members of the Asian Business Association and the Black Business Association, and a report that looks at ethnic diversity in business, looking at the factors that impede business success, and that highlighted, for example, issues with procurement, for example, the issues that come up with procurement, and even access to finance, but also even the journey towards becoming an entrepreneur, what it is and how it differs based on people's, ethnic backgrounds. So, for example, people from ethnic minority backgrounds compared to non-ethnic minority backgrounds. And as a result of that, we've been doing a lot of carrying forward the recommendations on that. We've met ministers based on the reports. We have been talking with the Greater London Authority on that. We've been able to bring in a number of practical support measures on procurement. Some of it's still in the pipeline, but also even, sometimes just getting that endorsement. So the Mayor of London, for example, has, publicly more or less endorsed our report or acknowledged, the things that are in it, and we continue to speak with people in industry, and perhaps we could share with you the successes that we've had on that, after that, perhaps in a more structured way. But that is certainly a lot of work happening on that front. And you're right, I think there's something about, especially with the City of London, it's great that you've been to our offices and all of that. Historically, there's a lot of business going on then, wealth generated and all of that, and that's great. But what the Chamber is trying to do, and what our CEO has been keen on, has been that we normalize, the presence of people from ethnic minority backgrounds in these places. So when it comes to the City of London, it's, it's normal, it's common for you to be able to see people from, brown or black or whatever minority backgrounds, for example. And again, it comes back to why you will join a Chamber of Commerce, because if you are smaller, and most, not all, but it has previously been the case, and many of these businesses tend to be smaller, then you don't have the voice and the reach, for example, to be able to do that. Whereas through your Chamber of Commerce, you could meet a larger organization, have those conversations, be just a presence there, can be such a game changer in the access that you are able to have, and for you to be able to hear about the opportunities that are available and to be able to maximize them. But apart from these as well, of course, we've got the recently launched Women in Business group. We've also got our business owners group as well. So look, we're looking at it, at inclusion, quite, holistic way. All class, for example, is something that comes up often, people from working class backgrounds and as opposed to middle class backgrounds, and how that affects you in business. And that's something again the Chamber is really championing to equal that playing field.
I love that. Sorry,
we
Elizabeth?
It was about a month and a half, 2 months maybe, that we inaugurated the Women in Business Association. And our first event, in the first event, we hosted an amazing Black entrepreneur, an amazing woman. She is Natalia Nicholson, and she's a business owner. She's a member of the Chamber, and she came to the chamber to kind of like share her experience with us about how her path through becoming who she is like how it started and how all the challenges that she has faced. And it was amazing. The story was just absolutely, shocking where she started. And one of the things that I remember the most is like when she was a little girl, she was asked by her parents, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, I just don't want to be poor. I'm really sorry, but because she said, I grew up with limited resources and I was basically poor. And the one thing that I didn't want to be when I grew up was precisely that. And she had it clear that no matter what, she was gonna become the strong woman that she currently is. And the speech that she gave, it was just so empowering, and you could feel her energy, her story. She even told us that at some point she had no money whatsoever. She was basically bankrupt, and even though that never stopped her from trying to move forward, to reach other to do bigger things. And now she started a campaign that is called I Am Remarkable, and is trying to build her network of female entrepreneurs, mostly at the moment, of course, because of her own background being Black women, but is growing. And she does encourage women to literally go on social media and post, I am remarkable because of this. I am remarkable because of that. And I joined one of her workshops shortly after that. And it was amazing and very empowering, the amount of things that we as women in business have to be grateful and to be proud of ourselves. It's amazing. Even those little things is the type of things that chambers of commerce can do for you. They are not only related to, well, they are related to business, but our reach goes beyond that.
Yes. And I love that, words of affirmation, which is so needed, especially in business. Let's talk a little bit about that. In terms of wealth, now systematically, we know that Black and Brown communities have been disenfranchised. So let's talk a little bit about even that comment that she made about not being poor. That is a big conversation even now in the United States and maybe even globally. What does poverty look like, and wealth? Do you think, in your opinion, going internationally, right, or even considering to expand your business, do you think that has maybe an opportunity to increase the wealth gap by, seeing if you could work in the international scope of business? What do you guys think in terms of increasing wealth or building generational wealth?
I will think so. Yeah, I would personally think that is a strategic plan. Yeah, you have to be really smart about it. But once you have decided this is what I want to do, you have to sit down, put everything together, and definitely is a good path, a good way to get more income, definitely. But it's a challenging path because of all that it implies, the logistics side, the finance side. And I think one of the biggest challenges for startups or for entrepreneurs is access to financing. But once that is sorted, and that's part of what we, as a chamber, we're trying to push forward into, okay, who is getting access to financing? Who is accessing to funding? Who is accessing to these resources? And we're pushing forward for these resources to be open to anybody that is really committed and has put time to put a plan together to make these dreams come true. But yeah, absolutely, because even if you think about it, I mean, in the USA, it might be different because you guys are a continent on your own. The country is huge. But if you think about smaller countries or the UK, thinking of it as we are still in the end an island, there's only so much market that can contain your products if you're selling, or even your services. If you're selling here, there's only so much market availability. But if you start growing overseas, you're expanding your reach, you're getting bigger. And there's, of course, a much bigger opportunity for you to grow. But the one thing that I have to be very clear about is you have to be very smart about it. You have to have a clear plan. And the one thing is, don't try chewing everything at once because you're going to choke. You have to really have a plan as of For example, thinking of the EU, that is our neighbor. If you want to start exporting to the EU, don't think of the EU because the EU has so many countries within. You have to start thinking smaller, as in, I'm going to start with this country, and always go for the easy target. Might be your neighbor, like, for example, the USA does have Mexico right underneath, and you have a free trade agreement with, you have NAFTA. So that's easy. That's an easy market because it's accessible, is geographically easy to reach. And then once you have established your business in that area and you have gained experience, then you can start thinking about expanding to other markets. But definitely, yes, it is doable. It's not, and there's one big myth that, growing overseas is expensive, is challenging, is difficult. Yes, it can be all of that. But it is doable. It can be done if you have the right support. And definitely chambers of commerce do offer that support. So wherever you are located, please reach out. I know that we are membership companies, we are networking associations, but there's more options to reach out, to contact with us. You don't have to necessarily be a paid for member. Our doors are always open. We are an organic source of information, so do reach out if you have questions. Even if we might not have the answer at that time, we will always be able, to direct you in the right path, on the right way, where you can find the answers and the support that you need.
Absolutely, I agree. Esenam, I want to ask you, since we are talking about, expansion, I wanted to also ask about some of the difficulties you have seen or experienced thus far after COVID. What are some challenges you're seeing that businesses are facing from the policy side? And Elizabeth, I want you to provide from the trade side. So challenges some businesses are facing. Give me like 2 examples.
Great. So in terms of challenges businesses are facing, I think a big thing is the cost of living crisis. It's just, following the pandemic, things have just been, energy crisis and all of that has impacted, for example, the costs, it's just added to the cost of businesses, for example. So that kind of room for growth, to be able to experiment, to be able to invest in this and all of that, people are hedging their bets. I mean, quite frankly, some people are just struggling to survive, with the cost of everything, being able to keep your business afloat and all of that. So that's really, I mean, if you're struggling to survive in the first place, and how do you even go abroad or take a chance in that sense, when all your whole preoccupation is about how do I survive? The pandemic itself brought its own challenges. So we saw a number of businesses crippled, or some of them completely collapsed. Some industries were more badly affected than others. And depending on where people are located, a number of hospitality and leisure and those kind of retail businesses have had to close, because some of it was, for example, dependent on footfall. So you needed people to come in and then come and patronize, of course, when everyone is at home. So, of course, some people have then benefited and some haven't, but for a large number of people, that then means that the cost of just the impact of the pandemic, the projections you've probably made, and the reality of what a pandemic has not been very favorable. And then on the top of that, we've seen the cost of living, energy, how do you warm your building and all of that. But then some of the problems that we were already seeing before that have probably become more have heightened, essentially. Yeah. So when it comes to things like recruitment and skills, we've seen so many, the trends have just kept changing, we've seen it becoming what they've called an employees market, with employees calling the shots. We've seen, people taking stock of their lives and what that's meant. Some people who went back to their countries or, wherever they went from, and how all of those things have impacted, trades. I think certainly those challenges are real. I think just to add quickly, I would say that, and it's easier said than done, but I won't discount at all the hardship that was there. But in terms, just to bring it a bit back to your question about, being able to go international and all of that, I would say again, like Elizabeth said, that's what your chamber is for. These times more or less also present an opportunity for people to take stock of, it might be difficult now, for example, when it comes to skills training. If you haven't been training people, it might feel like a hard time to do that, but actually perhaps doing that might increase productivity, or the use of technology or that sort of thing. And the same way with the markets, being able to tap into other markets. So it's been found previously, for example, that people from minority backgrounds, do benefit or do tend to perhaps engage more, depending on how you look at it, on international trade, sometimes because of their ethnic backgrounds and the heritage, for example. So we have the Commonwealth in the UK, for example, and all of that. So being able to tap into those kind of connections that you may have as a result of your heritage then means, for example, you're able to, tap into a market somewhere in India or Lagos or wherever. And we're seeing, that the India market, the number of markets being really big. But the chamber as well, and our international strategy, which we launched and which we've been taken forward, has been to, forge closer relationships. So we've so far signed 4 memorandums of understanding with 4 cities. So that's Frankfurt, Dubai, Washington, DC, and Lagos. The aim is to do that with 35 cities across the world. And so you can imagine, if you were a small business, that with time, the benefits that you can get as a result of being a part of the chamber and the links that are being forged somewhere is, could be really beneficial.
Absolutely. Who does not want to do business with the Emirates? Yes, absolutely. I love Dubai. So I love that you guys are doing that. All right. So let us wrap up. Elizabeth, did you want to provide, from a trade perspective, any challenges or even success, anything that you have seen companies, thrive after the pandemic?
We saw both companies that thrived and companies that were badly hit, mainly because of the supply chain had a massive, rupture. Because again, and I think this is the best thing that we could take, or we took out of the whole pandemic situation, from all those horrible months. It was the fact that it serves us as a reminder that it doesn't matter how much technology we have, it doesn't matter. Resilience in humanity is what keeps us going. Because again, how do you move face masks if you don't have people to literally carry them from point A to point B? How it all comes back to, human, to the people that is literally looking after your business and making things happen. And I think from the trade perspective, sure, of course, it was a massive disaster all over the world. Having markets completely paralyzed because you couldn't move goods. But then again, it's human. The best thing though is human resilience and the capacity that we have to overcome these challenges, that it keeps us going. And happily though, I can see that businesses started to recover, and it's a circle, it's a wheel that keeps on going, and yes. It is us human, it is us people that we might have wheels, but still the machinery is made by us. It depends on us.
So Elizabeth, you're basically saying there's no replacing us with artificial intelligence, AIs, no AIs, right?
I mean, I'm pro. Yeah, sure. I like technology, though, of course. Yeah. But then again, what is technology without the human intervention? It all comes back to us humans. So absolutely. And that's what took out of the pandemic, the fact that it's human resilience that keeps pushing forward everything that moves in the world, as in not going, of course, to the religious side of it. That's another whole conversation, but it is us humans that keep on moving the wheel.
I agree. No, definitely. I think, the pandemic really showed us about us walking like, respectfully, like we have to walk. In order for the pandemic to have been eradicated or mitigated, we all had to listen. We all had to isolate, right? So yeah, you're right. There was something that, even though we were separated, there was something that showed us that togetherness, we had to walk out of this. So you're absolutely right. I agree. All right. So give me one example of why should a business consider expanding? I think you guys did an awesome job of that. But just in case, for the ones who didn't hear earlier, what advice can you provide small businesses looking to expand globally? One example from each. So Esenam, if you don't mind.
And what we can provide for businesses looking to expand globally, I think we have the links. We're able to, through your member of your Chamber of Commerce, you're able to get the links, through whatever we have ourselves being able to facilitate that. You're able to get, again, the Connect Support champion, essentially. So we're able to convene, people from different parts of the world and to be able to facilitate those relationships. You will get the expertise, which I think Elizabeth will talk to you a bit more about, the trade advisory service and all of that, for how to be able to navigate your way through that. And you will also be, through our team, be able to find a channel through which the problems that you are encountering can be, can be articulated so that those solutions and those problems can be found. And we are the biggest issuer of trade documents that say something. We have that expertise, we have that history of doing this, essentially. And we can help you do it. We can speak for you or help to make your voice heard. And we can bring you in contact with the people that are making things happening, essentially.
Awesome. Elizabeth, one word. Why should we consider expanding globally for small businesses?
I'm going to give you two. Why not?
Okay. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, do you like traveling? Trading internationally gives you that. Do you like meeting people from diverse backgrounds? Trading internationally gives you that. Do you have a good product or good service that you can think, can make a difference out there? Why not?
Yeah.
Is again like learning to walk. You will learn how to walk. You just need to follow someone's example to lead you there. And we Chambers of Commerce do that. You don't have to be an expert on absolutely everything. So as long as you have the right connections and the right people to support you. And we Chambers basically do that. And then again, remember that at least, the London Chamber, we are a non-profit company. So it's not like we're looking to get rich by having your company joining us. No, we literally are interested, in strengthening the business network in the UK and hopefully overseas as well. That is our main target. We are very passionate about it. And again, if you have a good idea, if you have a good product, you have a good service, and you have the will and the interest to go overseas, why not? Reach out and we will make it happen. We will walk you there. We will take you by the hand and take you to that place.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. And that's what you need, especially when you're thinking about expanding. All right, ladies. So I just want to thank you so much for the organic conversation. We got to talk a little bit about the royals. So first, I want to hear about your coronation experience. How was that? Because I would have loved to have been there. So I definitely want to hear about that. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about practicality. Have they supported the London Chamber of Commerce? Have they actively, come and listen to some of the stories of small businesses and try to change policy, if any? So I guess Esenam, that's your area.
Yeah, thanks. So I'll just highlight the Prince Trust. So that was founded by Prince Charles, now the King, to help disadvantaged young people in the UK. What they do is they help young people age 11 to 30 to be able to either find jobs or training, get into educational training. A number of people are able to access grants, so you get some funding to be able to set up your business. There's also advice and support, some hand holding and all of that. So that's a trust that's doing really good work in that space. I was quite ill around that time. I think Elizabeth will probably end up filling a number of your questions, but a bit of the coronation program that I caught. I think there was one young lady who was interviewed who had been helped by the trust, a number of years ago, and now she was there. So, that's testament to the work that the Prince Trust does. I know that there are a number of initiatives here and there by, the Prince or the King now, and other members of the royal family. I think it's an interesting and a complex, shall I say, entity, especially when you live in Britain, I guess for Americans looking on. But at least the Prince Trust is an example of what some of the initiatives essentially that exist in that sense, in the work that they do. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And Elizabeth, I remember you said that the cutting of the ribbon, when you all opened, the Queen showed up. So, the late Queen. So tell us a little bit about that. What was that like?
Exactly. Well, not that I was there though, because that I was long time ago. I wish I was, but not unfortunately. Right. I'm not that old. But yeah, so the chamber, I can't remember exact date. I'm really bad at dates, to be fair, but we have been working for over 100 years. The chamber was created over 100 years, so it's been a long-standing organization. But I believe back in the 1993, we changed our premises. We moved from our older building to the one that we currently are. And the late Queen Elizabeth II, she came and cut the ribbon, and there's photos of her, coming here and joining the gig. And just last week we had an event, a coronation. It was a networking event in the members lounge. You've been on the members lounge, and it was a coronation theme, and they had like these little cupcakes with the crowns, and it was a massive success. Yeah, I think everybody was pretty much, embracing this feeling of, it's a national party, it's a national celebration. We had a bank holiday, so we had the Monday off just to keep on celebrating. So the coronation was on the Saturday. Then on Sunday, you might know there was a coronation concert with lots of different international artists. And then we had Monday given as now you take your time to rest and keep on celebrating. In my case, though, I was a little bit annoyed because about a year ago, I'm a big fan of the theater, and I booked tickets for the Rocky Horror Show, and that was on the Saturday. I mean, I who will have known that the Queen will be, that the King will be crowned, crowned on that particular Saturday. So I was like, a little bit annoyed that I couldn't get to watch the whole celebration. But I did enjoy it though, because I watched on telly the religious celebration on Westminster Abbey, and then in the afternoon I came to central London to go to the theater, and you could still feel this feeling of people celebrating, everybody holding Union Jack flags, the United Kingdom flag, and people with painted faces, little kids with their faces all colored in the flag colors, girls dressed up in princesses dresses, wearing crowns. It was a big celebration, and I'm not British, evidently. I don't have that fancy posh accent. But for a foreigner like myself, being here for a coronation, and given the fact that it was so long ago when the last coronation was celebrated, it's massive, it's historical, and it was incredible to see, people that they set up their chairs, like since Thursday they've been sitting there waiting and queuing, and it was big. It was
massive. Elizabeth, where's home? Where is home?
I'm a neighbor of yours. I'm from Mexico.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, I should have said bienvenido.
Sí, muchas gracias. My family is still there, and they were asking me, "Oh, are you gonna go? Are you gonna go to Central London to the mall to join the celebration?" I was like, "No, of course I don't. It's raining. It's soaking wet. But more importantly, I'm gonna miss the whole thing. Sure, I'm gonna be there physically, and I'm gonna see, the carriage pass by, but that's gonna be only like 3 seconds. No, I want to watch the whole thing, like within detail, and I want the description, and I want to hear the narrator telling me exactly what's happening. What does this mean? What does that mean? But I did enjoy it though. It's a one thing that I live here in the UK. I had to be part of it. Yeah.
I'm curious, what made you move? What made you migrate to the UK? Just really brief.
Right. So I'm of English descent. My great granddad was from Cornwall. Therefore, my last name and my not very Mexican look-like appearance. Though I love nopales. I'm like I don't consider myself any other than Mexican. But to be fair, because of my family background, I always dreamed of, one day I'm going to move to the UK. It's a beautiful country. It's a very welcoming country to the people that's coming to do the right thing, to work, to do good here. It's a very welcoming country. It's a good place to live. I've had the time of my life here. This is home now. My family is in Mexico, but to me, I see the UK as home. And London is amazing. You came here and you tell me it's not. It's beautiful.
Child, it's expensive.
It's a lovely city. It is expensive, though, but so is New York. And fair to say, New York is also one of my favorite cities in the world. Apart from London, of course, I think New York is absolutely wicked. I love it there as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Esenam, you have the lovely posh accent, but where is home for you as well? Or your people?
Home for me is Ghana. So
okay.
I relocated here as well, number of years. So
wonderful.
Home for me is Ghana.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it. But this is what we talk about, international, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ladies, it's such a pleasure. I could talk to you guys over and over all day, but listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for availing yourself to this conversation. As we wrap up really quickly, this episode, we're talking about life, leadership, and legacy. What does life, leadership, or legacy, any one of those three, what does that mean to you?
Oh, I think we lost Esenam. Right, I'm gonna start. You said
life, leadership, or legacy, either one. What does it mean to you?
Right, I'm going to go for leadership. I think leadership is a very strong word, as in it means quite a lot. And to me, it somehow reflects a certain level of power within. If you consider yourself a leader, if you are a leader, that comes with a level of power, and with power comes responsibility. Anybody that has a certain level of power or access to power has the responsibility of using that leadership, that power, for the good of others, for yourself. It is a huge responsibility, and I do believe that it all links together. As if you are a leader, you must use that leadership to support those that need it the most. That's as clear as water for me.
I love that. I agree. All right. Well, thank you again. We want to just thank the London Chamber of Commerce, certainly, for providing us with a greater perspective as we think about expanding our businesses globally. Thank Elizabeth and Esenam. Thank you so much. And you all, thank you for celebrating our 50th episode. We are so excited to continue this journey of the Chop It Up podcast. We will see you on the next episode. Bye, you guys.